Welcome in everybody to the Dynasty Rewind Mock Draft Monday. This week we're going to be doing a mock draft. We're going to finish it up next week for you guys. So here's what we got going on: 12 team Superflex Dynasty Startup Draft. I'm taking the number 10 spot. And the reason for that is I want to show everybody my strategies when the run on quarterbacks that's most likely to happen early is gone. What do you do? Do you panic? Do you reach? We're going to get into that a little bit. And we're going to start the draft. I have the timer set at 30 seconds per pick. So we got our first one off the board already. CMC at 1-1. Kind of knew it was going to go like that, right? So let's see how we go here. The 1-2 pick though, Dalvin Cook. I don't know how I feel about that. All right, well, we got two running backs off the board in a Superflex draft, which, hey, Superflex does not mean quarterback. That needs to be said. And I think it's very important to note that too. Do you want the 20th best or 30th best quarterback on a week, starting over somebody that could be a wide receiver too? So it's not a 2 QB league. It's not mandatory. Just keep that in mind. Doesn't always have to be quarterback. So we got the first one off the board at 1-3. Got Patrick Mahomes, kind of the consensus quarterback one. All right, so Norton timed up. There we go. He hopped back in. Now we're starting our run on quarterbacks, and this is why I wanted to pick late to show you guys what my strategy here is. Although I will say the first two picks kind of threw a little wrench into my plans, but that's okay. Whenever you start a league, whenever you do a startup draft, you want to make sure that you are prepared. You can't just have one fallback. You need to have like 8, 9, 10 fallbacks. Always be prepared. Do your research. Listen to the right people. Be prepared for your draft. So now I am up and I'm going to pause the draft as I said I would do. And that's not to take extra time. That is for me to explain my thought process. So the first 9 picks, we had 3 running backs go, and the rest are quarterbacks. Off the board, we have Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, and Justin Herbert. So what do you do now? The first thing I'm going to do is your league. It's a super flex league. So like I said before, it doesn't always have to be a quarterback, but quarterbacks do tend to score the most points. So we're going to open this up here. I did randomly throw some players in my queue. It's just kind of roughshod, nothing set in stone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to look at quarterbacks. So this is a dynasty startup. Let's keep that in mind. The top of the board here, we got Russell Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields. First of all, Jalen Hurts is getting drafted too high right now. I say that as an Eagles fan, but 4 games of starting 3.5 games, really. I saw some good things. I saw some bad things. Don't overdraft Jalen Hurts, okay? He could always be replaced. After that, we got Justin Fields, Deshaun Watson. Definitely not taking Deshaun Watson at the 110 in a Dynasty Superflex startup. Trey Lance, who I think has the biggest bust potential out of this whole class. Maybe Bob and I can do a video on that sometime. Leave a comment if you'd like to see me explain why. Please do, because I would love to make that. Got Matthew Stafford. I like Stafford. It's a little too early for him. Tua, Baker, Zach Wilson. Again, too early for some of these guys. But I'll tell you what, this draft so far has thrown a wrench into my plans. I'm going to go ahead, and I was hoping that Justin Herbert would make it back to me. He did not. I've gotten him at this point sometimes. We're just going to go ahead, and we're going to take Trevor Lawrence here at the 110. So Trevor Lawrence at the 110. That's the way I'm going to do it. And again, this is a startup. Okay, so it's going to wrap back around to me then. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to get rid of the queue here so you can kind of see the full screen. As you can see, I have lovingly displayed the draft on the screen for all of our viewers. So I know you all enjoy that very much. All right, so it is back up to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pause again just to explain my thought process. Even though it's kind of going slow enough where I don't need to, I want to take that extra time to do so. So here we go. After my pick, we went Jonathan Taylor, we went Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, Justin Fields. So now we started a run on the top tier running backs. So this is the point in your draft where you have to decide, what is my strategy? Believe it or not, you can go through the first round without deciding what your draft strategy is and picking the best player available, who to me, in a dynasty startup, Trevor Lawrence, he's going to start day one. We know that. You could plug him in, play him, and he's going to be fine. He's going to be stellar, hopefully for at least 10 to 15 years. Like I said, here's where you decide your strategy. So again, we're going to look at the quarterbacks. I see a lot of guys here I like, some older players who I don't want to take yet, and some younger guys I don't know. We're looking at the running backs and we see a tier break. Alvin Kamara and then a second tier after him, but still some great value. Cam Akers, Ezekiel Elliott, DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris. Some great guys. I think I could probably get some of these guys in the next round. And the same with the wide receivers because no one's touched wide receiver yet. So this draft really not going how I thought it would. And obviously it would look a lot different. It was a 14 or 16 team league. Most leagues are 12 team. So I'm going to go back to the quarterback position. I'm going to double dip. What I'm going to do is, for some reason, Sleeper doesn't work great on the desktop. I'm going to double dip with you. Then I'm going to take Joe Burrow. I think he's going to be fine from that ACL injury. I love pairing him up with Trevor Lawrence. And I think, if you look at my team so far, I know it's only 2 picks, but for a decade, I do not have to worry about the quarterback position. If another elite tiered quarterback falls to me in 22 or 23, that does not mean that I'm going to take a discount moving these players. Because you have an abundance of something doesn't mean that you should sell it cheaper. It also means, well, I have all these guys, I should move one of them. Again, don't just give players away because you have a lot of them. Okay? Use that. If you have $10,000 in your bank, are you just going to give it away? Are you going to keep investing it to your home, to your car, whatever? So use this, think of it as an investment. That's what draft picks are. That's what draft capital is. So I want to take a minute to point out I did manually set a pick here. Someone timed out. At the 2-7, I took Tyreek Hill. And that was mostly it just went off what I think it would have been had the computer automatically selected. He was the top rated wide receiver on the board. So after him, I kind of like what I'm seeing here. Ezekiel Elliott at the 2-8. People are really down on Ezekiel Elliott right now. He's 25. He's the same age as Nick Chubb. I know not exactly the same, but like within the year 25. Why do we hate Ezekiel Elliott all of a sudden? He's not old. He's 25. If you're 25 years old and someone says, dude, you're old, you're going to be like, man, get out of here with that. I'm not old. His entire offensive line was hurt last year. His quarterback was hurt. Andy Dalton was starting games. Guys who might not ever play another NFL snap were starting games for the Dallas Cowboys. So listen, let Twitter and let everybody be down on Ezekiel Elliott. Use that to your advantage too. Then after him, Justin Jefferson at the 2-9. I think it's tremendous value. I'm also a little bit surprised that he's the second wide receiver off the board. Stephon Diggs is the third wide receiver off the board. DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, Michael Thomas, all still available right now. So the way this draft is going, keep in mind, I understand that it's dynasty and people like to think youth, but there's no problem with winning now either. You want to try to find a good middle ground, which is what I'm going to try to do with my team. You see the way I like to build a team and my thought process is here. Moving on, Trey Lance at the 210. I don't like that at the 210 mark. I'm sorry. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to look and see quarterback wise what's out there right now. I probably would take Aaron Rodgers over him. I would take Matthew Stafford over him. I would not take two over him. Baker, Tannehill, probably not Tom Brady. Carson Wentz for sure. Mac Jones, yes. Maybe not Matt Ryan, not Daniel Jones, not Sam Darnold. Kirk Cousins, I would. Call me crazy. Kirk Cousins is a solid starting quarterback in the NFL. He puts up fantasy numbers. It doesn't have to be sexy. Winning does not have to be sexy. Okay. So then after that, DeAndre Swift at the 212. Fantastic value in a startup for DeAndre Swift. Why are we worried about DeAndre Swift's touches? Please tell me why. Who's going to take touches from him? Jamal Williams? Get out of here with that. But at 3-1, Zach Wilson, again, probably a little bit too early with what's on the board for me. Stephon Diggs at 3-2. I love it. Calvin Ridley at the 3-3. I love it. Austin Eckler, I feel like he's overdrafted at the 3-4. I don't think Austin Eckler is as good as people think he is. I'll take heat for it. That's fine. Najee Harris at the 3-5. I don't hate it. Najee is a beast. So I'm up. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pause the draft. Then AJ Brown, don't be concerned about Julio getting there in a dynasty league. AJ Brown's a lot younger. We're going to be fine. DK Metcalf to 3-8, great value. The first tight end goes off the board at 3-9. Travis Kelsey, even though it's not a tight end premium, I'm fine with this pick at the 3-9. 100% fine. Travis Kelsey is a fantastic tight end. He's got a few more years left in him. Best offense in football. I'm fine with it. So let's talk about my thought process here. I have two quarterbacks here. Okay, now's the time where I'm going to start looking for a running back. So let's see what we have available. J.K. Dobbins. Are we worried about Gus Edwards? Gus Edwards is extremely efficient with his touches, and he's still there. He's still there. Aaron Jones, I don't know what the Packers are going to look like this year, to be honest with you. I wish we had some clarity right now about the Aaron Rodgers situation. But again, we're drafting right now. We have to go with what we know. Antonio Gibson feels like a bit of a stretch here. I'm kind of feeling Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Joe Mixon, I'm going to stay away from. I'm out on Joe Mixon for this year and beyond. Josh Jacobs, I don't know. Miles Sanders feels like a stretch. I feel like some of these guys I can get when it wraps around to me at 4-3. Let's just take a quick peek at wide receivers. So DeAndre Hopkins is still here. CeeDee Lamb, Terry McLaurin, Michael Thomas. Again, guys I feel like I can get in the wraparound or maybe the round after. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to unpause the draft. You know what? I'm going to pull the trigger. A guy I don't have a lot of shares of. I'm going to take Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the 310. And I'm going to feel good about that, to be honest with you. I understand a lot of people were saying he's going to be the next CMC, this and that, blah, blah, blah. There was a lot of lazy analysis about Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year saying he's going to the Chiefs. He was a luxury pick, blah, blah, blah. I did say a few things in regards to that. I would like to refresh your memory, not to toot your own horn, but just to let you know how I did feel about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I liked him. He was a late breakout guy. He had one solid season in college. Doesn't mean that he's bad by any means. What I'm saying is luxury picks don't necessarily tend to be the best thing, but we're going to get to that in just a second because I am back on the clock. So, again, here we go. Okay, so after Clyde Edwards-Helaire picked, went Aaron Jones, Antonio Gibson, CeeDee Lamb, DeAndre Hopkins, and now it's back to me. So let's go and let's look at running backs again because wide receivers extremely deep in the NFL. You're starting 3 to 4 wide receivers, obviously, so there's more of them. So I'm going to look at running backs again. J.K. Dobbins, Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, Travis Etienne. Feels like a stretch here. Doesn't really have a defined role yet. Chris Carson is a guy that I like. I'm not drafting him in the fourth round. Same thing with Javonte Williams. Same thing with Kareem Hunt. James Robinson, I'm completely out on. Maybe after the 10th round, I'll think about it. Miles Gaskin, no. So now running back is starting to get thin, in my opinion. I feel like right now I need to go and get another running back because the 5'10 is my next pick. And there's no trading in this. If this was a real league, I would allow for trading, of course. So I feel like I need to go running back here because I don't think running back's going to make it back to me, a good running back anyway. And I'd like to really solidify that position. And I can get some quote unquote lesser wide receivers to fill out my roster later. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take J.K. Dobbins once I resume the draft, would probably help. All right. So I'm going to go ahead with J.K. Dobbins. So, like I was saying before about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he was called a luxury pick. Let me ask you this. What do you wear more often, work shoes or Gucci loafers, which would be considered a luxury item? Wear your work shoes more. Okay. So sometimes luxury items are things that are nice to look at, but not necessarily useful. I did also say that the Andy Reid system is such that he can do enough to make other running backs useful enough to hinder his primary ball carrier's workload. And we did see that happen. Darrell Williams got touches. Other guys got touches here and there throughout throughout the season. Damian Williams obviously opted out. He's now with the Bears, so he's gone. I really do think that the sky's the limit for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but he was a guy that really was just a lot of lazy analysis last year. Like, oh, he went to the Chiefs, the best offensive football. He's going to be the best running back ever, blah, blah, blah. I did have Jonathan Taylor as my running back one. And that shows in this draft right here, Jonathan Taylor went at the 111. Clyde Edwards-Helaire went at the 310. And that's, again, not saying that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a bad running back. Just beware of rookies and lazy analysis. Okay. They do need time to transition into the NFL. This season, especially, is going to be different. 17 games instead of 16. I know it's only one game, but that can make all the difference. So after my J.K. Dobbins pick, we went Jamar Chase at the 4-4, which, I'm just going to go ahead and look at the wide receivers. There's probably some guys that take over Jamar Chase. Terry McLaurin, Michael Thomas, Chris Godwin, Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson, the guy, he's a solid wide receiver. Look who's been throwing him the football his entire career, and the guy just smashes every season. You want to talk about being disrespected as a player in the NFL? That's Allen Robinson. But the nice thing is, you have to draft Jamar Chase now if you want him. And you can wait on Allen Robinson a little bit. DJ Moore, probably. Keenan Allen, again, you could wait. Mike Evans, you could wait for. So I would take these guys, but hey, rookie fever, you got to reach for these guys sometimes. So after that, Deshaun Watson at the 4 or 5, which I kind of feel like is an odd pick this early. That situation is still not rectified. Does he ever play football again? We don't know. We've seen things happen like this where a guy never steps on the field again. George Kittle after that at the 4 or 6. Again, not tight end premium. Again, I'm completely fine with that pick there. George Kittle, 1A, 1B with Travis Kelsey. Joe Mixon at the 4 7. I said I was off on Joe Mixon, and I am. We hear a lot of people on Twitter and other analysts say, well, his receiving upside. Show me the receiving upside. I want you to look at his statistics and show me where that receiving upside is. Please show me, bring it to me. I'm really interested to see what it is. After that, Josh Jacobs at the 4 8. I'm kind of out on him until I see what they do with Kenyon Drake there. Darren Waller at the 4 9. Love it. Kyle Pitts at the 4 10. Love it. Sky's the limit for Kyle Pitts. We know that. David Montgomery at the 4 11. I don't know. I don't know. I like David Montgomery. Probably some other guys I would have taken at him. For example, Matthew Stafford at the 4 12. I like that. TJ Hawkinson at the 5 1. Miles Sanders at the 5 2. Was kind of hoping he might, if he would have snuck back to me at the 5 11, I would have grabbed him there and just went for 3 at running back, but he didn't make it back to me. Terry McLaurin at the 5 3 and DJ Moore at the 5 4. So it is back up to me again. We're going to go ahead and pause. So we want Michael Thomas, Aaron Rodgers. Wish there was some clarity. I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers' talent over Deshaun Watson's. However, just throwing that out there. Um, Javonte Williams at the 5 7. Don't hate it. And I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. If we were not concerned about J.K. Dobbins going in his situation last year, don't be concerned about Javonte Williams. Some people were concerned because he doesn't have a clear cut path to starting right away. It'll happen before you know it. Don't worry about him. ETN at the 5 8. The disrespected Allen Robinson at the 5 9. And now it's back to me. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pull up the board here. I'm just going to look at overall right now and see what Sleeper is telling me ADP wise. We got some really good options here at wide receiver. We're going to start getting thin at tight end. So just looking at tight end, Mark Andrews, Noah Fant, um, Dallas Goddard, Mike Gesicki, Irv Smith. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and throw Robert Tunyon in my queue right now. Guys I don't want to forget about. I'm out on Hunter Henry in that situation. Irv Smith, no thank you. Mike Gesicki, I'll put him in the queue. Noah Fant, I'll put him in the queue here. Fryermuth for sure. Logan Thomas late. Evan Ingram is going to be a bounce back year. This is just kind of what I do. Guys I don't want to forget about. Adam Troutman could smash. But I'm going to look at wide receivers real quick. So I need my number 1 wide receiver. That's what I'm drafting right now. I'm drafting my 1A as we speak. Who do I want it to be? Chris Godwin, crowded. Mike Evans, crowded. Keenan Allen, apparently he's 100 years old, according to everybody. Amari Cooper, really crowded. T. Higgins, he's not a 1A. Brandon Ayuk, think he's going to be good this year. I'm a little worried about when Trey Lance comes in. Kenny Galladay, no thank you. Devontae Smith, I'm going to put him in my queue. Julio Jones, you're kind of past your 1A time. Chase Claypool, don't want to forget about you. Don't want to forget about Jerry Jeudy. So I'm just going to go up here. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to resume the draft. And I'm going to feel good about drafting Keenan Allen at the 5 10. But now I kind of wish I hadn't waited so long because he's my best wide receiver. Um, you know, I don't know. Should I have waited? Tell me what you think in the comments. Also, Bob is telling me that a lot of Denver beat writers are expecting Javonte Williams to be the running back 1 in week 1. I wonder what happens with Melvin Gordon. Do they move him to a place like Miami? If so, your Miles Gaskin shares are shot. He could go somewhere else that's really crowded. Maybe he makes his way to Houston, which I think would be a good shot. That makes him fantastic in Houston, to be honest with you. That team needs something. So it looks like it's going to be wrapping back around to me soon. I'll wait for that. All right, so I just timed out on my own pick. I was trying to put something in here. So here we go. So it's back to me. Okay. I'm going to start looking at wide receivers again. There's some guys I think I can get late. So I'm going to go ahead and just take the overall highest ranked tight end. That's Mark Andrews. I'm fine with that. I like Mark Andrews. He's not the big three. He's not Travis Kelsey. He's not George Kittle. He's not Darren Waller. I do expect to see a slight fall off from Darren Waller this year. So I'm fine with Mark Andrews as my tight end one. I understand that the Baltimore Ravens bolstered their wide receiver core, but that tells me that that just takes coverage away from Mark Andrews, who's Lamar Jackson's most trusted receiver. So I'm expecting a bounce back season from him as well. All right, so I'm just gonna discuss what happened here after my pick, and then we're gonna close out this round and we're gonna end it for tonight. So after my pick here, we had Mark Andrews, obviously me, Chris Carson at the 6'4", which I do like a lot. Brandon Ayuk at the 6'5". I'm still really high on Brandon Ayuk, regardless of if Trey Lance is going to be the quarterback or whoever. Jimmy Garoppolo, James Robinson at the 6'6". I'm out on James Robinson. I just don't know what that team's going to look like running back wise. They do have Travis Etienne that they invested a lot on. Chris Godwin at the 6'7", fine with that. Amari Cooper at the 6'8". Deontay Johnson at the 6'9", two at the 6'10". Carson Wentz at the 6'11", bounce back year for sure. And Robert Woods at the 6'12". So Bobby Trees, a guy that always produces, doesn't always get the love. Tell us what you thought of the first 6 rounds. We're going to be back next week with the remaining 6 rounds. My favorite part of the draft, you get in that middle section there, it starts to get real ugly. That's when your Q comes into play. That's when your drafting knowledge comes into play. So again, if you're here watching, we do appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you head on over and subscribe to our podcast, download, rate, and review. And until next time, be kind, please rewind. Thank you for watching.